Everyone, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. We're excited to be here to help you out.
So they'll be taking charge of the chat and sharing resources with you, and you can ask questions. They do a wonderful job at responding to your questions. And just so you know, at the end of the call, when you get off, you'll have access to the chat by clicking in the top left-hand side where it says chat. By clicking that, you'll see the chat for the name of this session, which is Tech Tools and Tips, and you'll be able to see it there. Yep, let me see if I can just show that to you really quick. So when I go to chat here, and I go here to Tech Tools and Tips, I look at something, and I clicked on Tech Tools and Tips, and I click chat. And you'll be able to access it after the meeting. Alrighty? Okay, so let's get started. I'm excited to talk to you today about tools you have available to you and help you in your decision to choose the one or two that is the best fit for your needs. Before we get to that, we do want to share with you our for the education fund their social media handles so that you can promote on your social media pages. So if there was something from today's webinar that helped you, please share, give them a shout out, add a screenshot if you can on social media. You can see all the different handles there.
Yeah, Michelle, thank you for sharing that. I just want to point out to all the teachers who are on, it's really important that you just take a minute and do this for us, because what this does is help when we're fundraising, and the way that we're able to support teachers is strictly through fundraising. So when we can show them that there's a lot of social media chatter about us, it really helps our efforts to get more money that we can then turn into programs and support for you guys. So just take a minute, take a screenshot of this. And please just, tweet "Thank You Education Fund" or Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and on Workplace. We'd really appreciate it.
All right. I'll give you guys a second if you need to take a screenshot. Or Ophelia, Carmen, can you grab this, take a screenshot of this and put it in the chat, and they can just get it from the chat. They can save it from the chat or copy it from the chat. Thank you. Perfect. Thanks. Okay, so let's dive into technology tools for remote learning. It's brought to you by the Education Fund with much thanks from their sponsors, Ford Motor Company, Assurant, TD Bank, FPL, and the School District Education Foundation Matching Grant Program. We are going to talk about a lot, but this is not going to be a training on these tools. This is going to be an overview of the tools to let you know what the tools can meet in terms of your needs, and then you decide which tool you're going to utilize, or you'll continue to use for remote learning. So again, just some reminders about yesterday with remote learning. We want to keep the process simple. You should not approach it the same way you do your face-to-face class. So you have to simplify what you teach, your content, the process in which you deliver your content, and your expectations. I can't stress that enough. Can't stress enough how much we need to really consider content over the curriculum. Compassion over curriculum. I'm sorry, compassion over curriculum, because from the comments I've been hearing, students are overwhelmed with the amount of work that they have been getting during this remote learning, and we really have to think about that. So when it comes to these technology tools, here are 3 guiding questions for you. What technology tools will you use to facilitate your remote learning experience? Consider streamlining all the actions you can take with one technology tool to have a more productive experience. And consider the number of technology tools families with multiple children in the household would have to use. So when I say consider streamlining your actions, think about all the things that you have to do with remote learning. You have to share lessons with students, or, you know, content with students and materials with students. You have to communicate with them. You have to have these online meetings with them. You have to, you know, assign work to them. They have to be able to keep track of how they're doing with the work, whether it's through the feedback that you provide or the grades that they're looking at. Try to find one tool or two tools that can do all of those things, that have all of those actions, instead of using 5 tools for each of those 5 actions. And also consider the number of tools that you're using. If you are using 3 tools, another teacher could be using 3 additional tools. And so now that parent with 3 or 4 kids in their household have to keep track of all of those different tools, and that is very stressful and overwhelming for the families. We really have to consider the families and the parents, because the students are being schooled in the home with the parents and the families. Okay, now the first one I do want to share with you, because there is going to be an opportunity for you to make calls with parents, and I'm sure you don't want to share your phone number with them, and you want to use a tool like Google Voice. I have been using Google Voice for over a decade now. I have a Google Voice phone number that anyone that I don't want to have my phone number, they have my Google Voice phone number. The things I'm gonna point out on the screen are just some kind of quick tips for Google Voice. When you do create your account, if you already have an existing Google account, you can use that, or you could just create it with a brand new Google account. So it just depends. You can sign in with your Google account or create a new account, but it is through Gmail. Okay, you have to have a Gmail account. The next thing is it will give you your own Google Voice number. So you'll have a number that you can select from available phone numbers. You can choose something with the area code that's for your location or not, but you will have the opportunity to select a phone number from what they have available. Here it says get email alerts for missed calls. I usually turn that option on because sometimes I may miss a call from the Google Voice. I may be on another call or my phone. A lot of times when I'm on webinars like this, I turn my phone off, and so I don't actually get the calls. It sends me an email letting me know that I missed a call. It's another way for me to get that. And so I usually turn this option on, and it will send it to your Gmail, just so you know, not your Dade schools. Okay. Voicemail greeting. I love this because I am able to record a special greeting just for that Google Voice number. So my Google Voice is like my professional account, and I have a professional greeting. And on my regular phone, I have my 8-year-old daughter or my 6-year-old daughter as my greeting. My daughter is 16 now. So I hold on to that 6-year-old greeting because, you know, it's sentimental, and she's a teenager, is no longer that nice, sweet 6-year-old. So I like to hold on to that. Anyway, so you get to record a special greeting for your Google Voice that's different from your actual voicemail. This is nice because you can get voicemail emails as well. So if someone leaves you a voicemail, it can send you an email with a transcription of what was in that voicemail message. With Google Voice, when you access it, you can access it you download the app on your phone, but you can also access it in the browser. And then these are the menu options when you're accessing it on the phone or in the browser. You can view the calls, you can view messages like text messages. You can text message from the phone and also in the browser. You view transcripts of the voicemail and anything you've archived or any spam messages that may have come through. These are the account options. These are the settings options. So you can see here, you can have special settings for your messages, your calls, for do not disturb, voicemail. Don't worry about payments because it's absolutely free. And so just so you can see, you know, what it looks like. And the site is voice.google.com. So I would recommend that you sign up for a Google Voice if you're going to be making phone calls to parents to communicate about the students. Okay, any questions that may have come up in the chat that I can answer or that needs to be brought to the attention of the group? And I am going to reshare my screen because I forgot to enable my system audio. Okay, so the next thing that I want to touch on is the Class Dojo. I know a lot of elementary teachers utilize Class Dojo for their communication. With Class Dojo, it is a communication platform. So you are able to send messaging, and there are some translation options available with Class Dojo. Students can also share content and sharing links and files and things like that. So let me move this over, and I want to play this quick video. This is how Class Dojo is approaching the remote learning. So let me play this video so you can see it.
Hey there, Caitlin here, a former teacher, and today I want to talk to you about remote learning with Class Dojo. We know how important your relationships are with your students and families, and we are here to help support you as you make the transition to a remote learning community. The good news is that there's so much you can already do with Class Dojo to continue the learning outside of the classroom. Once families are connected and you've created your class, you can use Class Story to share photos, videos, files, announcements, events. It's your own private feed to share with families and students, making it the perfect place to share for remote learning. Class Story is great for remote learning. You can record up to 8 minutes in video for things like lessons. You can share links to learning sites to keep students practicing their skills. You can upload attachments like worksheets and other printables for families to complete at home, or even create an event. Set a day and time for your entire class to come together by.
All right, I want to pause there, but you get the gist, sharing content, and you definitely could share a video just like she said in there. But what Class Dojo requires, it does require that teachers create an account. Students also create an account, so they have to learn a username and password for the account that they create, and of course they get a code from the teacher to join. Class Dojo does not have the online meeting feature in Class Dojo, meaning if you're familiar with Microsoft Teams online meetings, like what we're doing now, we're having that synchronous meeting. You cannot do that in Class Dojo. You would have to bring in another application like Zoom or Microsoft Teams to have those online meetings, to have those I guess you could say face-to-face meetings, but synchronous meetings, we'll call them. Okay. All right. So that's Class Dojo. So again, remember an overview because we have like a lot to cover.
Meeting digitally.
So I'm going to go on to the next one, which is very similar to Class Dojo. So Class Dojo, from what we've seen, utilized a lot in elementary, in the primary levels. Remind 101 is utilized in the secondary level for communication. It is a two-way communication tool, meaning you can send out communication, and if you have the two-way messaging option enabled, parents and students can respond to your communication. So this is a way to send messages, to send announcements, to share files, to share links, updates, etc. And here on the right-hand side, these are just little attentives from their site of ways that Remind 101 is being utilized. So scheduling reminders, sending classroom documents, taking photos and adding those photos there, schedule reminders about deadlines, warm-up questions, and daily homework assignments, sending what those are. So you're able to post these messages there. And there's a quick video, so let's see that. It's a GIF actually, so it's going to open up so you can see what it looks like from the teacher's end. They select the class, select the message, add the attachment, and then that's what the students see. So here's the message that they're sending, and then this is what the students see with the attachments. Okay, so that is Remind 101, simple to the point. So these two tools that I've covered, Class Dojo and Remind, are communication tools. They're messaging tools. You can message and add files to your message, but that online synchronous meeting is not available for Remind 101 or Class Dojo. However, that online synchronous can be utilized with Zoom. So think about this. If you're using Class Dojo or you're using Remind, now you have to add a second tool, and you're going to be using Zoom if you choose to use Zoom for that online synchronous meeting. So now you have two tools that you're using, one for communication and one for online meetings. Okay, so Zoom is recommended to be used inside of Microsoft Teams from the district's user guide. And because there's so much Zoom bombing happening, and to kind of protect the students, one layer of protection is by logging in using Microsoft's Teams. Zoom is a video communication tool, so you can have a session like what we're having now, where you're teaching live to the students and they can see you, they can see the content that you're sharing. It's great, you know, for those kinds of sessions and webinars and things like that. And it can support the district's distance learning plan. In fact, when I click here to the user guide, it takes me to icp.dadeschools.net, and here I see the information they have provided about Microsoft Teams, but also about Zoom. So they have an educator guide and a student guide here. And this is all on icp.dadeschools.net, and it tells you what Zoom can do and so on. Okay, so that is pretty much what I will share about Zoom. Again, this is a way for you to have synchronous communication and those online meetings with your students. Okay, so we've talked about three things: Class Dojo, Remind for communication, Zoom for online meetings. Are there any questions at this point? Carmen or Ophelia, anything that you guys want to add before we move on to the next thing?
Nothing now. It's been going great, smooth, nice and smooth.
All right. All right, so moving on, another tool that you can utilize is Flipgrid. Flipgrid might be familiar to some of you. Flipgrid is a video tool that allows you to record, let's say, a discussion question, and then the students respond with discussion in a video format as well. This is not synchronous. This is asynchronous, where you're recording at your time and they're responding in video at their own time. So you're not ever meeting live together in Flipgrid. So here, I'm gonna just quickly show you this video, and you can see the getting started for educators.
Head over to Flipgrid.com and create a free Flipgrid account with your Microsoft or Google email address. Once you've signed up, let's create your first grid. Your grid is your class. So I'll name mine 6th grade reading. Select a grid type. I'll select school email, which will allow my students to access the grid using their school email address. If you're teaching younger learners without emails, you can choose the student ID option. Students do not need to create an account. They will use this code to access the grid. You can personalize it, so I'm going to make mine Remote Reflection. Limit access to the grid by entering your school emails. Enter everything after the @ symbol. Add multiple emails for students and educators. Now that your grid is created, you'll see that we have automatically created a discussion prompt to help introduce Flipgrid to your learning community. Let's make a new discussion prompt. In Flipgrid, we call those topics. You can add links, videos, or anything you want your learners to view prior to recording a video response. Or hop on over to the Disco library, where there are thousands of ready-to-use topic templates available. Now that you have created your topic, you are ready to share with your learner. Share the link or code with your learning community. This is how your students will access Flipgrid and start posting videos. For step-by-step student instructions and more resources to help you use Flipgrid, check out the links in the description below.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually go to Flipgrid right now. And let me just go to the right browser. Sorry. I'm going to go to Flipgrid.com because I want to show you the Disco library that they mentioned. The Disco library is a way for you to not have to reinvent the wheel. So when I go to Flipgrid.com, I'm going to click Educator Login because I have an account. Just note that with Flipgrid, you can use your Office 365 credentials to get right in, which is your ID number at dateschools.net, and it will accept that login. So here, let me just take a look. I have different grids, lots of different grids. Stop. And I'm going to click on this one for Ms. Singh's class. So yeah, please excuse my dogs, it's feeding time. So when you create you can have topics, and these are the topics that the students respond to. So I'm actually going to go to the Disco library right here in the top for the right-hand side, and in the Disco library, I can search for topics that have already been created. So if I am an elementary teacher, I can click elementary, I can click my subject. So maybe my subject is, let's say I want to do geography. So it's going to filter for me by what I selected, and I can see all of these topics that have been created by teachers, and I can select one. This is one that I want to use. I can select this and add it to my library. And so I just select the class that I want to add it to. So I'm going to do this one. And when I click add, now that's in my library. I can edit it if I want, and add more information as I need to. And I click update, and now this topic is in my library for students to respond to. And the students respond by recording a response. They record on their mobile devices, on their laptops, and they would respond to you in that way. And that's pretty much how Flipgrid works. It's like Snapchat for the classroom, right? Like Instagram videos for the classroom. It's a great way to engage the students in a platform that they normally utilize. And there's even a remote learning grid on Flipgrid that has just remote learning topics. So that's what I wanted to share with you about Flipgrid. It's an additional, it's a tool of engagement that you can utilize with your students. And here you can see all of the different, these are just samples of ways that different users or different educators have utilized Flipgrid for peer review, for research presentations, for messages of positivity, which is especially important now, family interviews, things like that. Okay, so that is Flipgrid.
Michelle, can I mention something about Flipgrid?
Absolutely.
So what I noticed, it is very similar to Snapchat, and you know how the kids love Snapchat and their filters. So particularly some students don't like recording themselves, even though they take selfies all the time and record themselves. So for presentations, they don't really like to do it. But what Flipgrid has a few features that they can actually have emojis as their faces. They can do things to the screen so they don't particularly see themselves. They can have maybe just something different masking their face as they're presenting, just in case for those students that really don't like to record themselves.
Thank you, Ophelia, for sharing that. Yeah, there are definitely different ways that they can record. Another way too is they can even have a recording in PowerPoint and upload that right to Flipgrid, where they never have to show their face, but they show the content that they're sharing. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Edmodo, because I know a lot of teachers have been using Edmodo from before, and they want to continue to use Edmodo in remote learning, which is absolutely an option. Edmodo is a tool that kind of brings together ways that you can communicate, you can collaborate. It has an assignment feature. It has an option for you to have grades. You can distribute materials to your students with Edmodo. So you definitely have this one tool that has multiple purposes. So whereas before, if you were using Class Dojo, you would have to find another way to have a way for students to collaborate, or have a way for students to get the lessons and materials. With Edmodo, it's one place for it. The one thing that's missing with Edmodo, though, is that meeting feature. So if you are using Edmodo, you would still have to use another tool like Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, whatever. You would still have to use another tool to have that synchronous experience where you are having those online meetings. So although Edmodo has a lot, you still have to bring in an additional tool. Okay. So that's pretty much, another thing I want to share with Edmodo is that you do have to create your classes. Your classes, you have to bring the students into your classes through a code. So students do have to create an account and do have to add the code to be added to your class. So another login for the students to have to learn. Okay, and then we get here to Microsoft Teams. If you notice, when I went on that site, when I was showing you the user guide for Miami-Dade on icp.dadeschools.net, Microsoft Teams is a district recommended tool here. Okay, I wanted to point that out. Oops, let me go back to the PowerPoint. So Microsoft Teams gives you the opportunity to have that communication feature where you can communicate with students. You have a collaboration feature where you can have the students collaborate on different activities within the team itself. You can distribute content and materials to the students, sharing it with them either through using Class Notebook or the the tab feature where you're linking them to resources. You have the opportunity to include assignments. You do have a grade book, and there's a really cool feature called Class Insights, which I'll show you. You can have online meetings right in the team. You don't have to go and use Zoom when you're using Microsoft Teams, because you can meet within Microsoft Teams. It integrates with what you're already using. For example, your Outlook calendar is integrated with Microsoft Teams. And I'm going to go live and show this to you. But most importantly, it's district rostered. And that means that your students have already been added by the district into class teams. And your students access it through single sign-on. They don't have to create an account. They don't have to be, get a code from you to join. They've already been added, and it's already single sign-on. They just access it by going through the portal and clicking on the portal option. So I'm going to show you just how you get there. So when you go to the portal, you click here, 365. When you click on Office 365, you click Microsoft Teams, this option right here. When you click on Microsoft Teams, it takes you here, and then you're able to see all the classes that you have that have either been rostered to you by the district, or maybe you have teams that you've created. Just showing you a little quick thing here. This little filter button in the top allows you to filter. So if I only want to see class teams and not see any other team, I can filter to where I only see class teams. Okay, I can always go back and see all teams, because there are different types of teams that you can create. And if you're you may have noticed that you have district like curriculum specialists and people from the district that are adding you to PLC teams or they've created, so they can also communicate the important information from the district with you. So let's try, I'm going to click on a class team so I can walk you through some of these options that I've been talking about. So let me just try this one, Miss Singh's practice. So here in a class team, you have the option to create what's called channels, and think of your channels as like your topics. You have topics, and when a student clicks on a topic, they are able to access the materials for that topic. But before I even get there, let me go on to the left-hand side so you can see the integrations. Your calendar is here. This is your Outlook calendar. So anytime you have, anything scheduled on your calendar, it syncs automatically here. Another thing you can do in the calendar, this is where you would go to schedule those online meetings that you want to have. You give your meeting a title. You would put the meeting in a channel in the team, okay? And you can put your meeting agenda here, put your meeting date and time, put your meeting title. I'm going to put test. I'm going to hit send. And now that meeting is going to be in a channel. And if the students are in that team, they'll be able to see that this is the link to join the meeting. And I can click here, and I can click, the students can click there to join the online meeting with you. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say that you can pretty much do just about everything you need to do in Microsoft Teams. Have those synchronous online meetings, being able to have that communication with students, Being able to share files with students in the Files tab, adding files to the class materials folder, uploading files and folders with content, adding new files that you would want to work, you want them to work on collectively. If you use Class Notebook, being able to integrate that and bring that in, having assignments where students are completing assignments that you create. You can create an assignment and you can add resources to an assignment, whether it's a resource that you're pulling from your OneDrive, whether it's a resource that you're adding by putting, like, let's say, a link to a tutorial, or you're pulling something from your class notebook, or you're adding a file. You're able to add these resources, or you could just upload straight from your device. So if you have something from your device and you want to upload it, you certainly can. You can even add rubrics to an assignment and give it points if you would like, and assign it to, let me just do this test. And you click assign, and now you've assigned that assignment to all the students in your class. And they will get a notification and they will see that they've been assigned this work, and it will automatically post that this assignment is there. You see how it pops up for me? And it automatically generates in the general channel that the assignment is there. So as a teacher, I can go in and I can view how many people turned in that particular assignment. I can give feedback, I can give points. I can go to my grades tab and I can see a grade overview of all of the assignments that I've posted for this class and what the student performance is. I can export to Excel. It's very comprehensive and it's very inclusive and integrated, Microsoft Teams is. So you can definitely have, this experience where you have all of these, all of these options available to you. I want to show you something else within Teams. In this view. Okay, so in this view here, this is the one that you saw in the presentation where I have the channels, and the channels are specific to like those things that you would do during the week. Like you would have your weekly announcement and your check-in, you have your fun channel, you have your office hours. This is where you can go to for students to pop in for office hours if you're doing hours on a certain day. If you're doing online discussions, this is where you would have the posts and students can reply to the posts. If you're doing online group projects, you can provide those guidelines there. And if you're doing online meetings, you can post them in there and so on. But what I want to show you is this option here called Insights. If you have students, you will have students in your class. This Insights tab is very, it provides very good data. It's a great way for you to see how students have performed for the week in your class with discussions and with assignments. It gives you their activity, their digital activity, their average grade, their on-time assignments, feedback, communication. And so you're able to click on individual students or all students just to get a feel of how they've done for today, for the past 7 days, for the past 30 days. So it's very data rich. And you have all of those availabilities through Microsoft Teams. So I've given you like a brief overview, but you've seen communication, collaboration, sharing content, the sharing content part, in a post, you're able to add attachments. And attachments come from different sources. You're able to use any of these tools. You can even add a poll, you can add a video, you can add GIFs, and you can add stickers. It's almost endless what you can share with students here. And then clicking the plus sign up there also allows you to add additional content, whether you're adding a PDF or Word document or a OneNote or a Nearpod lesson. And the list goes on with the type of different applications that you can integrate with Microsoft Teams. Okay, so I know I went over a lot. This is not a Microsoft Teams training. This is just an overview of Microsoft Teams. So I'll pause there for a quick second to see if Ophelia, Carmen, if there's anything.
Yes. Michelle, there's Carlos has a question regarding that. He graded an assignment, but he cannot see that assignment.
Okay, we're gonna have to, we'll have to touch that at the end of the training. we'll just chime in at the end and we can touch base there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about other tools that you can utilize for your other purposes with remote learning. Everyone uses Microsoft PowerPoint, but there are features in Microsoft PowerPoint that you can use to record. Let's say you want to record a quick video lesson for students and give them a link to the video so they can watch it. Yesterday, Ophelia talked about a student of hers that worked 40 hours, so that student was not able to join like a live session. But if you record, you know, your content and provide a link for the student, they can watch it on their own time and still participate in the class and not miss a beat. So with the recording options in PowerPoint, this allows you to do a screen recording or record your slideshow. So I am going to demonstrate that to you really quick by going into PowerPoint. And I'm going to actually have to go here. Oh, I'm already in PowerPoint. Let me just press escape really quick. So what you have to first do is you have to enable this tab, and it's called the recording tab. That's pretty easy to do. You go to File, you go to Options, and you go to Customize Toolbar, and you just make sure that recording button here, this recording button is selected. And then you click OK, and now you should see the recording tab there. So under the recording tab, one of the things that you can do is record slideshow. Record slideshow means that you'll see it here. Oh, good, the camera's off. You can record over a slide and annotate over that slide. So you can go through your lesson the way that you would with them in a live presentation and talk over it. You can annotate on the screen, highlighting certain words, underlining, working a problem out if you have a blank slide. You can do all of that, record it, and then once it's recorded, you can export the video and then share that video in Microsoft Teams or in whatever medium you're using. You can share that with students. Okay, so that's under the recording tab. There's also something called screen recording, and this is more recording your whole computer screen. So if you actually had to walk through, give the students like a tutorial on how to access Teams or how to, you know, how to submit an assignment, you can do a tutorial where you're walking them through the browser and all of those things. And so you have those options available to you through the recording tab in Microsoft PowerPoint. So those are the few things that I wanted to share with you about PowerPoint, the recording tab and how to get there. Okay. The next thing is Microsoft Word. With Microsoft Word, there is a dynamic feature for accessibility called the Immersive Reader. And when students are utilizing Word, Word can be used in Microsoft Teams itself. It can be used in the browser or in the app. They can access Immersive Reader for translations and for just helping them with reading. So I'm going to go here under View, and I'm going to click Immersive Reader. And you can see how the screen has changed. Now, let me show you what's going to be really neat.
Here is an example of American English being spoken. À vaincre sans péril, on triomphe sans gloire.
So I can
No dejes para mañana lo que puedas hacer
read
hoy.
it.
Anhelo. أحضر الناس جوابا من لم يرضى.
And this is what the students can.
Sølvreven elsker vi nåt utrolig masse.
Du siehst den Wa-
Okay, if you notice, this is all in different languages because I wanted you to hear how it's reading the languages and it's you know, and it sounds authentic. Outside of the language, the reading, you are also able to adjust the size of the text and the spacing of the text and change the font, the background. If there are students who have visual impairments and they need a high contrast, they can adjust those settings there. For students who are need assistance with language, they can utilize these tools to identify different parts of speech, and you see how it's color coded and you can turn the labels off and on. But this is the part that I really want you to see. This is where they can go and they can get translation. So they have up to 60 something languages, and they can choose the language, and they're able to not only translate by the word,
Americano.
okay, but they can translate by the entire document. So this entire document that was in multiple languages is now going to be transferred into Spanish.
Este es un ejemplo de inglés americano que se habla. Para ser conquistado sin peligro, uno triunfa sin gloria.
All right, so that is immersive reader. That's available in Word. The students could be using Word, and note that we're in Teams, right? We are in Microsoft Teams. So if you post a document for students with their homework or with directions or with information that they have to share with their parents, your, guidelines, permission slips, whatever it is, they can easily use immersive reader to translate to help themselves and to help their parents. Okay, so that is the information I wanted to share with you about Word. Okay, next we're going to quickly talk about forms, because Microsoft Forms, again, it's integrated within Teams. And if you saw earlier, I believe I was showing you assignments earlier, and in assignments, I'm able to create a new assignment, but I can also create a quiz. And when I create a quiz, it actually pulls from my Microsoft Forms. So when I go to Microsoft Forms, so let me go here. I have so many browsers open, I don't know which one. Okay, so I'm going to go here to Forms. So from my Office 365, I'm going to click on Forms. And it's going to open my forms here. Okay, and you have two options. You create a new form or you create a new quiz. In the case where you're trying to integrate it into Teams, you would create a new quiz. Title your quiz, add new. You can add, for quizzes to be auto-graded, the question types have to be multiple choice for it to be auto-graded. If you do add text questions or any other kind of question, you would have to go in and add the points for those. But these are all the different question types that you can include in a Microsoft Forms activity. Okay, and there's even the option to upload a file. If a student needed to upload something to a form, that could be done. So that would be how you create the form. I'm going to show you what it looks like when a form is completed. I'm just trying to find a quiz. Here's that one. Let me search. Use smarter. Greater. Let's look at this one. Once you have a quiz that has been created and people have completed it, as a teacher, you can go in and view the responses, and you get this real-time data on the performance of students on the quiz overall. So if you see that, for this particular question, it seems like not every kid knows the answer. I may need to go back and reteach that particular strategy and so on. But you can also click on individual students. You will see the student's name here because they're logging in through Office 365, but you can click on individual students to see what they got right and what they got wrong. All right, so I just wanted to show you that in Microsoft Forms. So that's where you see that real-time data. Those are the questions that you have. It is auto-graded. You can do surveys and polls. Registration forms, you could create those registration forms for your virtual conferences. Immediate feedback is there, built-in analytics. You could definitely differentiate with multimedia. What that means is when I have a question on Microsoft Forms, I have the option to add an image or a video, and that would be my way of differentiating. If a student needed to watch a quick video to help them with that question, they certainly can. All right. Okay, Microsoft Forms, done. Ophelia, Carmen, anything from the chat, or should I move on to Whiteboard?
Move on. I also wanted to mention that forms, they can create math questions also with the keyboard.
Oh, yes, definitely. Let me just show that really quick. Don't remember Browser, I mean. Yeah, there is an option for math where you could turn on the math keyboard, math options, and you're able to, where is it at? Whatever that response is, the math keyboard will appear if it were for that question. Okay, so that's there for you. Let me take that option off. There we go. Okay, so going back here, let's talk quickly about Whiteboard. Whiteboard is an option that you have. You can share a whiteboard in a Microsoft Teams meeting, like what we're doing now. I can actually, instead of sharing my PowerPoint with you, I can share a whiteboard and we all could collaborate on that whiteboard together using the inking options with the pens that you see below. It's a great way for you to have that engagement in your online meetings. So I could even put a whiteboard with a crossword puzzle and have the students, you know, work on that for the first 5 minutes of the meeting while people are joining, just a way for them to be engaged at the beginning. With Whiteboard, you can add all of these different types of, I guess, file types on a whiteboard. You can even add a sticky on a whiteboard, change the color. You can turn the settings off and on where you have things like ink to shape. So if I draw a circle, it will actually create a perfect circle. It's just a great way to have that level of integration, especially if you teach, you know, younger kids, or you're teaching math and you want to work out a problem, or you're teaching science, you want to have the procedures, or you're teaching English and you want to brainstorm a topic. This is such a terrific tool to integrate in your online lessons. And if you wanted to share a whiteboard with students and have them just work out something on their own in small groups, it has a link, a collaborative link, that you can create a whiteboard, share it with a small group, create another one, share it with another small group, and then that group can work on that whiteboard task together. Okay. Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about is Office Lens. Office Lens is going to be very beneficial for your students. This is the way that they would be able to upload assignments to Microsoft Teams to turn in their work to you. So with Office Lens, they're able to, first of all, they have to download it to their mobile device or their computer. There's a Windows 10 app and there's a mobile device. When they download it to the mobile device, they're able to take a picture of the work they're doing. So let's say we have the elementary kids who are doing, you know, who are working on assignments together with their parents, and they take a picture of it and then they can upload it to a Teams assignment so you can see the work they're doing. I was on the phone with the teacher today, and her students are using notebooks for, I believe it was math, and they, you know, this was a tool I shared with her so that the students could just take a picture of the work they're doing in the math, upload it to their OneDrive, and then be able to add it as an assignment in their Teams. When they click add work, it pulls from their OneDrive, and they can, it's just an easy way for them to just submit their work to you instead of trying to find a way to scan it, then to email it, because I'm sure that you'll get hundreds of emails if that's the case. But it does integrate very well with OneDrive, and this quick video here will just walk you through that quickly.
How to use Office Lens in OneDrive to save your work. First off, download the Office Lens app in the App Store, the free app. Open the Office Lens app and take pictures of your written work. It automatically crops them for you. You can save it as a document, or if preferable, go to the whiteboard setting and it's a more readable version of your work. Then export it to OneDrive. Let's see that one more time. So I take a picture of the work, it crops it for me, and then I upload it to OneDrive.
All right. And then what the students would do, now it's in their OneDrive, and when it goes...
All right, and that was the last page. So now with my pictures in OneDrive, go to your computer and open up a work.
There we go. Okay, so when it goes into your OneDrive, it automatically generates a folder that's called Office Lens. So just look out for that. The first time you upload something into your OneDrive, it will generate that folder. And so with the students, all they have to do is then go to the assignment that you've created for them in Teams, click add work, and then pull from their OneDrive and submit it to you. That's simple. Okay. So again, Office Lens is a great resource for you and most importantly for your students to be able to have that easy way to upload work to you that you give them. All right, so we're going to move on to the next thing, which is the bonus. Okay, so we've talked about several tools, right? And so I just want to throw this out there as a bonus for you because we should have some kind of fun in what we're offering students during this time. And that is what Skype in the Classroom can do for students. It has that enrichment piece where you could go onto the website and you can search for on-demand lessons. Because we're in a time of remote learning now, we won't have access to do like those mystery Skype games or, you know, those classroom connections that you would have in, you know, in a regular school year, but they do have on-demand content. When you go to skypeintheclassroom.com, click on resources, and that's what you'll search to view their on-demand lessons. And their on-demand lessons can be anything from
free time I could outside in the garden, on the cliffs surrounding my home. And I was always watching birds, watching any creature I could find, how the spiders walk through the grass carrying their eggs and then their babies on their backs. All those things I absolutely loved, and I was really curious.
Well, thank you, Jane. We've been gathering questions from.
So again, I just wanted to show you a quick snippet of that, but you can have all of these videos accessible through Skype in the Classroom that you can share with your students, from, you know, Jane Goodall, Dr. Jane Goodall, to authors, Cressida Cowell, to engineers. And you can bring this in and integrate it in your classroom to give your students, you know, an opportunity to learn and see an expert. So on Skype in the Classroom, you can just go to skypeintheclassroom.com, again, search for resources, and you'll be able to download an educator guide to remote learning, student rules for remote learning, and a sample email to parents for remote learning. Alrighty, so that's the bonus. And now we are gonna just talk about the resources from which will be posted in the chat. So there are resources from Microsoft Teams that the district has curated for you, from webinars, the intro webinar to the 5-chapter series that looks like this, where each chapter tackles different topics and themes. So we'll share that. The instructional continuity plan, the link for that has already been shared in the chat, but that is where you can get your content information, access to the pacing guides and communication tools and all of that. There's the distancelearning.dadeschools.net, where you can find those educator and student resources, user guides for Microsoft Teams and Zoom and all of that. And of course, the helpline is available on the dates that you see there for you to call with any questions that you have during this time of remote learning. And so 995-HELP, 305-995-4357 is what you can call for help. And please, the parents and students can also call 995-HELP. It's not just for teachers. So please share that with your families. The Parent Academy, please share this with the families as well. Every couple of days, they add content to their virtual campus. Content includes a quick webinar on how parents can help their child navigate Microsoft Teams. That's just one example, but the Parent Academy is an excellent resource to be sharing with the parents and the families. They all have content available, not just in English, but in Spanish and Creole. So the parents can view the webinar in the language of their choice. Okay, and then we'll share these resources again with you in the Sway, and of course we'll share Audrey's contact information. Don't forget to share with us on social media, and at this time we will take questions from the floor. So we will open up the floor for questions. Audrey, is there anything that you want to say before we get to questions, or Ophelia or Carmen?
Yeah, this is Audrey. I just wanted to say, before you guys get into the question again, thank you guys all for participating. We will have a live Q&A webinar to just take questions from teachers. That will be an hour of just questions. That will be on Saturday at 11 o'clock, right, Michelle? I think it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we're offering something that's only about YouTube. So for those teachers, if you're interested in learning how to use YouTube to help you teach remotely, and that will include, you won't have to necessarily shoot your own videos, but also how to pick videos that are already available. So that's going to be on Tuesday. Please check back to our website frequently for more information on the webinars and different resources that we're offering, including our grants. That's it.
All right. So time to take questions.
Michelle, I think Alina Feldman has a question in the chat about Zoom. So if she can go ahead and ask.
Yes, my question, I know how to have a class meeting through Teams, but I've never been able to do it through Zoom. And I was just wondering, when I set up a meeting through my calendar for Teams, I just go to channels and I select the class that I want to invite, and it automatically sends the invite. I don't know how to do it for Zoom.
So are you using Teams or Zoom? Because I would keep it simple and choose one platform. You're not able to set up that calendar invitation and invite them to a Zoom meeting in Teams. You're not able to do that. In order to invite your whole crew to Zoom, you would have to be able to share with them that Zoom link and their password using whatever mode of communication you use.
I understand. Okay, I'll continue using Teams then. Thank you.
You're welcome. And really quick, Alina, when you set up that meeting in the channel and it puts the meeting invitation in the channel, reply and @mention the whole class so they get that little notification ping to look in the channel for that meeting.
I didn't understand that.
So when you're setting up the meeting, @mention the group after you set up the meeting. Let me share my screen so I can show it to you really quick. Excuse that. Nope. So in the team, when you set up the meeting, let me just go to this one. Hit reply and then @mention the name of the team. When you @mention the name of the team, the entire team will get a notification and activity pointing them to the meeting. That's how they are alerted that the meeting is taking place in the channel.
Okay, in the past, though, it automatically sends them a notification when I set it up. I set it up via calendar.
Oh, so you are inviting them directly.
Right, I go into calendar. Once I select the particular class that I want, I put it, I put in channel and in general, because I'm doing general, it automatically invites the entire class.
It does invite them, but they are not notified, is what I'm saying. The @mention notifies them and gives them a little red bubble under activity, letting them know that they have a meeting coming up that they can join. Everyone is invited and can join in the team, but that notification happens when you @mention.
So it gives them the reminder, in other words.
Exactly. Yes, it gives them a notification.
Perfect. Got it. Thank you.
All right. We have time for one more question before we go. It's 5 o'clock. So just a reminder, you are able to view the resources that will be shared with you in this presentation. If you go into chat, you can go into chat. Let me share my screen so you can see. When you're in Teams, okay, you're going to click on the chat bar in the top left-hand side and click on Tech Tools and Tips, and you're able to see the entire stream of conversation for this meeting with all of the questions and resources that were shared by Carmen and Ophelia. So again, in the top left, click chat. All right. this time, Audrey, you want to
Yeah,
close us?
just thank you again for joining. If you would like to join on Saturday, if you have additional questions, the whole hour will just be questions that you can ask Michelle, Carmen, and Ophelia directly and get answers to your questions in a little bit more detail. So check our website. You can email me. I'll send you the link to join. And please don't forget to tag us on social media at some point. We really appreciate it. It'll help us raise our funds that we can then put back into programs for you.
Okay, and I'm gonna be posting really quick these resources for you guys to have. Okay, thank you all. See you on Saturday. Come with your questions. Okay, Audrey, you can end for all. Remember.
Thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.